Welcome back to Property Matters on Dublin South FM with myself, Carol Tallon. You can contact us on Twitter at iPropertyRadio or indeed email hello@iPropertyRadio.com. So now I'm delighted to be joined by Milan Taradnik, and he's founder and CEO of Propster. Milan, thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to get into this later today, but today's a big day for Propster.
Yes, indeed, it's true. Also, thank you for having me. We just announced our seed round. We raised 3 million in our seed round, and yeah, well, I'm super excited actually. So you don't see it right now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
thank you very
listen,
much.
we want to see the excitement, but we also want to see the process behind it because in Ireland, it's something we talk about a lot, but in Ireland, we've had, we have a slower fundraising and our once we're getting to levels above a couple of million, then any of our startups have to leave Ireland. So actually, you've got quite an international base as well. But let's start by talking about Propster. What is Propster?
Yeah, I think like you just compared, you just said Ireland. I think it's quite comparable with Austria. Like we started in Austria. It's also a smaller country, and like for us as a startup, if you want to build something global or international, you have to go outside of Austria. But still, it's a good country, to have kind of, let's say, proof of market, proof of concept, and this is what we achieved quite early. The story behind Propster is also quite interesting. So I'm working in the real estate industry for more than 15 years already. And Propster was actually bootstrapped out of one of my former companies. I had a digital advertising agency with focusing on real estate digitization. And when we started the whole idea with Propster, it was just an idea which came up through a project we had with one of the bigger property developers here in Austria, and we supported them with finding the right way through the digitization, and we realized that there is a big topic they have to improve, and it was the interaction between them and their customers, like buyers, tenants, and investors. And we realized that this challenge is not only a big challenge for them, it's actually a big challenge for the whole industry, because somehow the whole industry is struggling a lot with the customer demands. And we realized this and agreed with this customer to start a pilot project to improve it. We compared it a little bit to the automotive industry, because we said like it would be actually great if you could configure your property, like configuring a car online. So you purchased online, you configure it and you manage everything online, but very, from this point of view of the customer. And they liked it a lot. So we started it, and within like the first year, it was like the reaction was massive. So the other customers approached us and said, yeah, we would like to be a part of this pilot project. So I realized, there is a big opportunity. We should do something out of it. And that's why I founded Propster 3.5 years ago in Austria. And as you said, like for us as an Austrian startup, we realized also quite quickly you have to go abroad. And I think it's similar with the Irish companies. You go to UK and we go to Germany. So this is like the next market, which makes sense for us. And this is what we did early in the process. And now we're active in Austria, Germany, Switzerland, Slovenia, UK. We are now preparing ourselves to enter Russia, Dubai, and so on. Yeah, we have, I would say, like more than 90 customers right now with over 200 projects. And as I said, like what we provide is basically a configuration collaboration platform where property companies can improve the whole interaction between them and their customers.
Milan, I think it sounds amazing. I'm so impressed with the journey that you've had before, but I'm interested, you mentioned there that you've been 15 years in real estate. Was all of that spent on the digital marketing side of it?
Yeah.
Or were you right? Because I'm just thinking, we run a communications agency here in Ireland, and digital marketing 15 years ago, unless the Austrian estate agencies and developers were very far ahead, digital marketing wasn't on the radar 15 years ago.
No, that's true. We received orders by fax in the beginning. that's over actually. I'm very thankful for that. I think it was. I think it's the right timing like when I started, it was the whole beginning. You know, all this the companies realized that selling property online is getting more and more like interesting for them, because people started to search properties online. And still in the beginning it was like having the newspaper and internet, and now it shifted like, and it's really nice to see how it goes, how the whole process goes now, that like the whole, I would say, the sales process already quite well digitized already. If you are searching for property, you do this online. I think the newspaper, I think this is gone already somehow, except like maybe luxury property, something like that. But the broad scope of the whole sales process already digitized. And the big challenge of the real estate industry, that the sales process is only a part of the whole value chain. So you have to go through lots of different steps. So talking about sales process, asset management, the planning. Then also, you know, we have to go through the whole process when it comes to manage property, when to build the property. So there is still a long road ahead of us, but I think that it's the right timing right now. People are talking about Proptech, about Contech, and so I'm really happy to be a part of it with Propster to transform this very old-fashioned, fragmented, conservative industry. It's right about time.
Yeah, look, I agree completely. And, you know, similarly, you touched there on Contech and all construction technology. I mean, that's such a growth area, and it's where we're seeing the most traction, particularly coming out of Ireland now, because, as you said, so many elements of the property transaction have now been digitized. So, just in terms of Propster, talk me through your client base. So, who are the early clients of Propster?
Yeah, so basically our main clients are property developers, construction companies, general contractors, general planners, and it's mostly the sales department, or also like the customer relations department. So these are like the main the main target group we have right now.
Okay. And how do you position your services? Because in one way, it could be seen as streamlining communications, but obviously it goes so much further than that. So in terms of the value proposition when you're speaking to clients, how do you position the offering?
Yeah, that's actually a very good question, because we realize, like in the German-speaking countries, and this is really funny, that's because sometimes the stereotypes are true. We went through the PyLabs accelerator, as I mentioned before, and within this PyLabs accelerator, we realized these stereotypes, that in Germany, our main trigger was, you know, to be more efficient, you know, to improve efficiency, to improve the processes. And when we started to pitch the product in UK, everybody was like, yeah, efficiency is good, but actually we want to earn more money. And I was like, oh, true, of course. Like if we are in Germany, everything is about efficiency. If we are in UK, everything is about, you know, to make more money out of the products and the projects. Um, this was quite funny. In the core, we are solving always the same challenge, the interaction with the customer, but the trigger is always a little bit different. So for example, in the German-speaking countries, the sales department is not really our target group. In UK, it's very much our target group, because we can help the companies to increase off-plan sales, especially for developers who are selling property in London, which, you know, what is really much into selling to foreigners, so people who are sitting somewhere else, like Dubai or Singapore, something like that. They are very interested into having a configuration and collaboration platform where you can manage the whole process remotely. And yeah, so this is what we have learned, and the main or the unique selling proposition for us in UK is really, you know, to help to fasten up the sales process, and also to help the companies to earn more money and faster.
Okay, over the last number of years, you know, because the core of what you do is tackling the interaction with the end consumer, are those consumers changing? You know, how have you experienced that over the last kind of 3.5 years since Propster? Are the buyers behaving the way you might have expected them to behave? Are they changing in line with digital changes?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, there are like on the one hand, of course, we have to say that our life is already quite well digitized. We have the smartphones. I mean, look at us. Like right now, we have this Zoom call. So everything is digitized, and the COVID pandemic also played its own part in this whole journey. But what was very interesting to see is also that the customer demands changed, that the customers demanding individuality, that they are not, it's not enough just, to build and sell like the building with one sort of tile and parquet. It's not enough anymore. I have the feeling that people are more into like really they want to individualize their property, their apartments, their house. And this is interesting to see. And it's also something what we try to tackle with Propster, to provide buyers and tenants and investors with more with more tools and features where we can help them to individualize their property. So this is something what I have seen so far in my 15 years.
Okay, stepping outside of it, I can see that more customization generally leads to less efficiency and drives
Oh
up
yeah,
costs. So
that's
how do you tackle that?
that's interesting. That I would agree and disagree.
Okay.
So the that's really interesting. And this was like when we started in Austria and Germany, this was like the main part, because in the German-speaking countries, you have a high rate of off-plan sales, and people demand changes. As I said, it's not enough anymore just to have like one or two or three colors of tiles. They really ask for different variations. And we realize that there is a big opportunity for the property companies, because if you manage this whole process the right way, then you can actually have more planning and price security, and you have also a better customer relationships. Why? And we do this by combining two methodologies, the configurator and e-commerce. So we, in the pilot project, as I mentioned before, we had one idea. The idea was to provide buyers with 4 to 8 variations in different price segments. Just think of a car configurator. It's the same thing. If you want to sell a car online, there is always a configurator. You can choose out of different colors, different kind of wheels, and so on. And this is the same thing what we want to do in the real estate industry. And it works. So we know 4 to 8 variations in different price segments, and 80 to 90% of the people will stay within this product selection. And if you are already prepared for this, you have the chance of price and planning security. And the second thing, what is happening, and this is a huge opportunity for the industry, you can increase the margins. There is a huge upselling potential. We have use cases with customers, with clients, where we can see that they earn really interesting margins just by adding variations in the tiles or faucets. It's working. So I think, and this is, like, I understand the industry, of course. Like if you're building, like, let's say 50 years the same, nothing really changed, then it's really hard to change something. And that's why we also need these early adopters. And when we started in Germany and Austria, sometimes really the companies laughed at us, say, this is not going to work out. Come on, this is like, just it's not going to work out. But some of the companies said, hey guys, this is actually really interesting. Let's try. And now after 3.5 years in Germany, Austria, to configure an apartment is like state of the art. It's normal. The companies are already writing it into contracts. You have, if you are selling the property, you need an online configuration collaboration platform. And it's really funny. We are just witnessing the same thing in UK. So it's really hard to get the first clients in UK, but there are some early adopters. One of them is Clarion Housing. They are just starting projects with us.
Very good.
And we will expect it will be the same thing.
Yeah.
So
I think actually the approach to upselling is really interesting, because developers really have a challenge with that, because when people are spending so much on a product, they want it to be all inclusive, whereas actually by going in and configuring, they can really see where the extra cost is coming from. So therefore the upselling probably doesn't feel like upselling, it's more choice based. So as in, I'm going to choose a different finish and I'm responsible for my choice by paying for my choice. And one of the things I'm interested in, because I'm trying to think, you know, if you were coming into the Irish market, I'm trying to think of the mindset of Irish developers and the existing supply chains of Irish developers. When you were dealing with your early customers, did they have to make changes in their supply chain to be able to fit this model?
Also a very good question, and this was like, I think, the biggest challenge to start this. So we realized quite quickly that when it comes to the whole product procurement supply chain, we should not touch it yet. So we should not touch it because it's really hard to disrupt this. It will happen in the future, but not now. So what we try to do, and I think that this is what was very helpful to work in the industry for more than 15 years, you know, that you cannot just disrupt this industry from one day to another. It doesn't work out. What we try to do is to help the property companies with their existing suppliers to prepare the right products, you know, because you don't have to change suppliers. There are, like, if you work with all the manufacturers, like we just help the property companies to identify the right products. Mm-hmm. And this is what we're doing. So basically, one of our key innovations in our product is that we use demographic data to provide the property companies with the right product choices. So when property companies start with Propster, they just tell us, like, where is the building, where it's located. Based on the location, we know the demographics. So we know, okay, in this street or in this area, we have a target group of XYZ. And then we have a product database. So actually, from the terminology, we are a so-called SaaS-enabled marketplace. Mm-hmm. So the configuration platform is the software as a service part, and it enables a marketplace. And the marketplace is not a transaction marketplace; it's just a product database where data is we gather data to help the property company to identify the right product. So based on the project specifications and also based on the demographics, we can help the property company to identify the right variations. And this is helpful because you can do this already in the planning phase.
And I presume that helps you then maybe give guidance on what the 4 to 8 variations should be, so yes, that you're not looking at, that you're able to add some structure to that. You know, it strikes me, Milan, that you said that, you know, you came to the decision that, you know, you can't touch the supply chain or procurement yet. Yeah. Does that mean there's an innovation in the works?
Yes. I mean, we try. There is, like, I think we have to be careful in the real estate industry. It's like, to digitize this, you cannot compare it like with the finance industry, for example. It's like we are talking about such a big value chain. You have to deal with so many things. I mean, you just have to look at how many proptechs just how are active on the market, and still there are popping up proptechs and contact companies everywhere. So this is showing quite well that it's a big challenge. And in this particular case, we are also trying to work with other companies, because we cannot do it on our own. So cooperation with other startups is very important. We can see that for this, it's not the right timing for this. So we are keeping ourselves a little bit, you know, like, okay, let's wait for this. Let's wait what happened. But we have some ideas already in the backlog, I would say.
Yeah, Milan, I'm so happy to hear you talk about understanding the need to collaborate with other PropTech startups, because actually that's one of the things about 4 or 5 years ago we identified as one of the failings. So for some of the early startups that we saw coming through PropTech Ireland, those who didn't understand the need to integrate well and work well with the other PropTech startups who were solving similar but different issues at different stages of the process, but for the same clients, they really lost out, because the reality is clients within the industry don't want 7, 8, 9 solutions. They want 1, maybe 2 solutions that tie in well together and are more comprehensive. So I think that's a really important, and you mentioned there that, Propster is born out of a previous company or early businesses that you had. And I think that there's a real learning that comes from that. So I can almost tell the founders who have had early businesses themselves as opposed to those who are coming out and this is their first business, because there's a real appreciation for learning and understanding how it all ties in together. And I think maybe that's the maturity that's sometimes confused with age, but I actually think it's not about age. I think it's about having the experience of running your own business, responding to clients, and understanding how that shapes a further offering. There's a loss of ego in that. You're taking it more, you're letting the market talk to you as opposed to you talking to the market.
Yeah, I mean, like what you just mentioned is I totally agree. I think there needs to be a balance of, you need this kind of, how can, like the young wild founders with maybe there is not the right timing for their idea, but you need them. And that's why I'm saying that there needs to be a balance. And I think also that if you compare it with other industries, it's like something, it's a journey, I think why we started quite early in our process to collaborate with other startups is because we understood that, because actually the clients told us, okay guys, now you can help us with the customers, but how does it look like if we want to basically improve the whole construction side, or how does it look like with this? Do you have an idea, or can you actually do this, or can you, we would like to pay you that, can you please develop an additional feature to help us here and there?
Yeah.
So we realized quite early, wait a second, I mean, okay, there is a need of helping the clients to provide a broader scope of the digitized value chain. That's why we identified already early in the process the right partners, so we are able to say to our clients, okay, if you want to tackle this or that challenge, we have already a cooperation partner. We are connected with them on a technical base, so we have APIs, so you can just have a seamless connection with all regarding all the data and stuff. So we can see that this is very beneficial for the companies, and they demand it, and it's very important for them.
There's a sense that the marketplace is becoming more sophisticated, more demanding. We talked about it in consumers, but actually it's true of the industry marketplace as well. Milan, before we finish up, just because, we talk about the journey that Proptechs and all startups indeed have to take. Today is a big day for your company. You're closed on 3 million seed funding. Can you talk to us a little bit just about the process, or really don't even talk to me, talk to the startups who are in your position, who've spent the last, 2 to 3 years developing a product, trying to get market traction, trying to get early funding. Can you talk to us maybe just about some of the things that you really learned along the way, and maybe what really pushed investors over that 3 million? What really pushed them kind of over the line?
Yeah, I think there is even a more interesting story behind it, because we actually signed this round already last year in March, but it was canceled because of COVID. We had a family office behind it, and because of COVID, they were not able to pay. And so you can imagine what it meant for us. So we needed to start the whole fundraising again. And that's why it was like a big challenge to fundraise again in the COVID pandemic. Fortunately for us, the COVID pandemic had a big boost for our business, because our product is all about working remotely with customers, working remotely with other project participants. And so we saw after summer 2020, when the whole craziness was a little bit over, like everybody understood, okay, wait a second, it's that the world is not going to end here now. we have to deal with this, and there are also some opportunities. The business went really well, and I think this was a very important part to raise actually a bigger round than we signed in March 2020.
That's
because the
interesting.
business
Was
level.
that based on market traction?
Yes, yeah, it was. And what was also very interesting is that we closed the whole round through Zoom. We never met the investors. This was also, we never met our clients. We never met them personally. Before COVID, it was impossible to acquire clients through Zoom because it was just like the people were like, oh, no, we are not using it. You know, like this old fashioned, I want to meet you, I want to shake your hand.
Yeah.
And now after COVID, like 95% of our clients, we acquired them through Zoom. So this was a game changer. And I think also the investors realized that. And the combination of this and also our traction helped us a lot, you know, to basically build a really, really nice consortium. We have now lead investors from UK with Pilabs, France with Axeleo, and Austria with AWS. And this is, I guess, also the reason why I would say we are more winners out of the COVID. And you asked me for advice for other startups. What I have learned is you need the best team. We went through, I mean, really, everybody in startups, in startup scene, you are talking about this valley of tears, right? You're going through this valley of tears. We went through it, and you are going through this only with the best team. So you need to make sure you have the best co-founders, the best team, because if you have to go through such tough times, and then it's really about surviving. It sounds hard, but it's really about surviving, and you have to do this with the best team. And that's why my advice would be, make sure that you have the best team, so you can tackle all these challenges which are in front of you.
Yeah, I think that's excellent advice. I think it's excellent advice, not just for startups, but for all businesses, particularly those who are looking at change or innovation. So thank you for being so generous with your time, especially today when I'm sure you want to go and celebrate with your team, whether it's digitally or otherwise. So thank you so much for joining us this week. That was Milan Taradik. Sorry, Milan.
Oh, good. Milan from Propster. Oh, good.
I've made a mess of that. And you are, of course, founder and CEO of Propster. So that's it from us today on Property Matters, Dublin South FM. You can get in touch with the show on social media at iPropertyRadio or email hello@iPropertyRadio.com. Also, my thanks to Peter Rice on sound. We're back at the same time next week. From myself, Carol Talon, and all the team here, stay safe.